Hello there, be welcome to another video here in the channel, and I want to talk about an idea that I've got and things that I've been thinking about related to language learning. Well, this is my daily journal here, a series that I record in which I train my English and I share experiences of mine talking about languages. Be welcome. Well, I've I have been experiencing a lot of things lately related to language learning, and I've been thinking a lot of how I can optimize my system because you see, I have a system of language learning and it is becoming more efficient each day. Hopefully, I will make it better. Currently, I'm learning three languages simultaneously, which isn't extremely easy. I'm I'm realizing that perhaps I'm starting to have some interferences here and there. The language I'm learning French, and I think French may be getting interfered by my English and vice versa as well. And the same applies for Latin. I think my Latin studies may be interferencing my French. Well, I was thinking a lot about time, the time that I devote to language learning. Today, I've spent around 4 hours with language learning already, 30 minutes of those being dedicated to French, 15 minutes to Latin, and all the rest to English. One may ask, why are dedicating so much time to English and so little time for the other languages? My answer to that is that I want to have my English in a more proficient level than the other two for now. English is such a useful language, and I'm not a native speaker of English, thus, I will need to be able to get really the basics on so I can push to the C2 level and beyond. Though the other two languages are very important, don't get me wrong, but English is the language that I'm looking towards the most. I'm looking forward to learn it as the highest level of proficiency. And I've been thinking a lot of how I could accomplish so. My goal with English is not only to become good conversational. I'm already am somewhat conversational. I can talk about several different topics and I can express myself about certain things very well, although I may have some difficulties when the matter is just something I'm not used to. I think that I'm around B2 in speaking skills. I'm not certain though. Perhaps I even B1, or perhaps I already have reached low C1 level. I'm not sure. And also about my reading and listening, I think that presently my listen is either high C1 or C2 because I've reached the level to understand almost all the music that I hear to be able to watch movies and series without subtitles. Most part understand them a lot, like 99%. I need to train more my listen because I think I still can improve. I don't know whether I am in the C1 or the C2 level, but I think I already have passed the B2 level for my listening. Um, one thing that I've realized is that those videos on YouTube, which is titled as B2 level content, it's extremely easy for me nowadays, and I understand 100% of it, or very close to it. Perhaps my listening is not as good as I think, but I've been used to uh, guess the meaning of the words quite quite proficiently. Perhaps it isn't that high. About my reading, I think I am reaching a better level. I would say that I'm not C2 yet. Perhaps I can read some books that people say that are difficult, but I'm not certain whether I'm C2 already or not. For example, I could read The Picture of Dorian Gray, which people say is a relatively hard book to read, um, without major problems. I have some difficulties to understand some words here and there, but I could manage to do extensive reading with it. And I need to think about it. Um, then there is my writing. I am certain that my writing isn't above C1, is either C1 or B2. I do not think either my writing is below B2. I'm thinking about it, but I think actually is already B2. Probably I'm a B2 English user still, but I'm grinding to improve. I feel that my vocabulary could improve a lot more and my grammar as well. Those are things that I want to devote my time to learn, but still I haven't got the opportunity because it's far easier to just come here and talk or to watch hours and hours of content. I ought to think of how I will approach my vocabulary to improve it. Although I think that watch a lot of content and reading extensively is already a great way to improve my writing and my vocabulary. Well, a thing that I've been thinking about is strategies to improve speaking mostly, because I think my speaking is improving um, through some strategies that I've been using. I started to do shadowing daily some days ago, maybe some weeks ago. I'm not certain, I cannot remember for certain, but this has been so helpful. You see, I've got a desire to learn English and to talk with the RP accent. It's an accent that I really appreciate, and I would really like to get an accent like it. So I've been training uh, towards this goal. I'm a self student, so I have no teacher to guide me or to help me with my pronunciation. But I'm trying to develop inner sense of how English works, the pronunciation, the stress, the rhythm, all the things that people say it's important to know in English. And I've been trying to training my ear actively to get this accent better. As I said, I have a desire to learn English through the RP accent because it's the most neutral accent that there are, and I really enjoy how it sounds and all the features in it. Both the RP, the classical RP, the traditional RP, or the more modern received pronunciation, which sometimes called more than received pronunciation, as it may suggest. And I like all those pronunciations there. It's a thing that I really appreciate. And the speaking skill is composed by many parts. You have the pronunciation and the things that are not what you're saying, but how you say it. And let's say let's say pair this way, things that is how you say it and what you say it. We could add other things as well, what you mean, or what people will understand, and what you're trying to mean through what you say. Let's separate into those three parts. All right. In the first part, we will have a bunch of things that is related to how the speaking skills in the language fundamentally works. You have pronunciation, phonemes, morphemes, and like accent properly, um, intonation, stress, rhythm, tails, all those type of complicated stuff related to speaking skills. I would put it into this first category. The second category is the words that you use and the phrase that you build, um, and that's basically it. So vocabulary, chunking, um, not only the words that you use, but how do you structure it. All the languages will have different features into those three categories, but in English you will have some very peculiar things. For example, in Portuguese we would say, um, let's say that I want to say that a car, I don't know, any car is beautiful, it's elegant. I could say that's a very beautiful car in English, but in Portuguese I would say, um, almost the opposite. I would say like that's that car is very beautiful, or that's a beautiful car. In any case, you can say that in English as well, but in Portuguese, you usually say the subject first and then the adjective. And in English, it's usually the contrary, if I'm not mistaken. And you see, those are the type of differences that exist from language to language. And indeed, it's a thing that you must be aware of. So the second category is the words that you use, the things that are part of your active vocabulary, and how you structure it, your grammar when you speak, if that makes sense, the patterns within the language that you speak, and how should one use the tenses, all that stuff is in the second category. The third category is what you mean and the meaning of your message. Sometimes we say things that aren't exactly what we mean. For example, there is this scene and this part, this text, very famous, of the Lord of the Hobbit, actually, and there Bilbo say to Gandalf, "Good morning," and then Gandalf asks him, "What do you mean by good morning?" And he starts to question Bilbo, why he wants to mean with good morning. He meant that the morning was good, whether he liked it or not. He meant he was wishing you, in the case Gandalf, a good morning, etc. So uh, that's a very interesting thing in languages because it's related with the meaning that we care when we talk, and that's another complicated thing. For my speaking, however, I've been not focusing on those two last categories, nor the second or the third. I've been looking towards the first. The first category is what I've been trying to improve the most. I've been trying to work on my pronunciation, my stress, my rhythm, more than anything else. I have not been trying to do chunking or to improve my vocabulary actively, or to, you know, trying to understand common phrasal verbs and what are the meaning of them. I've been only trying to master the pronunciation part. Not on the pronunciation, you understand, but all this part that follows the first category. And I've been using shadowing a lot. There is this channel here on YouTube called Ashley Howard, which is a teacher that he teaches. He's a coach voice, actually. It's a more precise term. He teaches the RP accent, and he has recorded many videos using the reading passages out loud of the of several different works of literature, in which he reads with the RP accent to so he creates it in this way so we can shadow. I've been shadowing his videos quite a lot, and my pronunciation has improved, like, has hugely improved. I'm feeling more confident when I speak, and I think I'm more understandable now. At least for those who are familiar with the RP accent, it can be a little bit confusing because here in Brazil we have a huge difficult to understand British accent if you're not used to, because we are most exposed to the American accent, and sometimes it's hard to non-British people understand the British accent if you're not used to. But then if you're used, obviously it becomes a lot easier. But my goal is to have um, a standard accent and pronunciation, anyways. And then I'm looking towards improve it. And I think that has been helpful for me is to do shadowing of the same video over and over again. Well, I'm using Ashley Howard's videos because I really like his voice and the way that he sounds. I really enjoy his accent. He has a RP or a modern RP, very well, very polite, very well constructed and balanced, and that is a thing that I really enjoy. So I've been looking to his videos. I've been trying to mimic his accent so I can have a baseline, and after that I can maybe work upon it. Maybe I can use old records and things like that to be a little more stylistic in my choices. So that's what he's doing, and like what I'm doing. Sorry, I'm watching his content, and then I've been shadowing over and over again the same videos. I thought this idea and I started to do so. And I'm realizing that I'm starting to memorize a lot of the classical literature that he uses. For example, I have memorized the beginning of Sherlock Holmes Adventures just because I have used shadowing, and I have shadowed that video specifically many times. So it starts to Sherlock Holmes. She's always the woman. I have heard him mention her, and yet under any other name. In his eyes, she eclipses and predominates the whole of her sex, etc., etc. So I have memorized this beginning there just by doing so. And I've been thinking whether that would be a great strategy to study languages, because you see, shadowing and cherishing, because there are two completely different things. Shadow is when you hear the person speaking, and then the person is speaking, you start to repeat the person while the person is speaking, and try to mimic all the things that the person is saying, how the person is pronouncing the letters there and here and there, and then you try to mimic, following what the person is doing, following and keep following just behind the person. You do not want to go with the person. You do not want to go ahead the person, obviously. You want to go just behind the person, mimicking all the things like a shadow. But there are other strategies as well. Like you can listen to some part, pause, and then repeat. Pause, and then repeat. I'm doing both. I'm doing starting, listen, then I pause, I repeat after him. I actually don't need to pause in Ashley Howard's videos because his videos are made for this purpose specifically. So he speaks a part of it and he stops so you can talk right after him. You repeat what he said and then go to another part, on and on. And then later come the shadowing, following properly. So that's a thing that I've been doing. But my point is, people say that shadowing and chorusing are very good for master the pronunciation and rhythm, stress, all the things that we have been talking about on the first category. And I actually believe that's the case because I myself am a testimony of it. I am able to express myself much better and I'm sounding much more natural because I'm following this method. I'm using other things as well that are helping, certainly, but this method is the core of my journey into master the speaking patterns. And then people say that's the case, and I agree, but I want to ask whether shadowing and repeatedly shadowing is useful to do a species of chunking. Because I'm thinking that if I shadow the same video over and over and over and over again many times, in when I reach a point that I literally have memorized all the things in that video, I can literally talk the video without hearing it. I can literally say the same things that the video said without hearing it. When I've reached this level, I think that will be so useful for the second category of things related to speaking, because I will be able to catch some chunkings there and to use in my actual communication. That's a thing that I've been thinking about quite a lot. And also the third category will be most affected by shadowing, because the third category is not related to the syntax but to the semantics. And semantics and pragmatics, we are getting this group all together, right? So the third category is related to semantics and pragmatics, and then you can understand a lot of the culture of a country if you hear the person talk about a same topic repeatedly, and if you memorize literature a lot. So my goal is, I want to test whether this idea of mine is actually sensible, and it actually will make me improve into those two categories there. I want to see whether I will be able to improve my syntax and my semantics and pragmatics just doing shadowing repeatedly. I'm studying grammar as well. That obviously will help my syntax and a little bit my semantics and my pragmatics while I'm speaking. Although grammar is more focused on the writing skills, not much on the speaking skills, or at least it should be that way. Like grammar in itself emerge for be related to the speaking skill to the writing skills instead of the speaking ones. And then that's what I've been thinking. I have the desire to memorize to catch a book, a classical book, and memorize all of it. So my goal is that I will keep doing shadowing with Ashley Howard until I get to a very decent level, and I have used all the content that he has offered, which is a lot. He keeps publishing. I would like to thank him publicly. If the my channel is very small, probably he will never notice. But in any case, his channel is very good, and I really enjoy it. And I think I will be watching his content over and over again until I've memorized all of the things that he has put there. Maybe later I will start to changing to other things as well. I will take, let's say, a book. Um, I'm reading Aesop, Aesop's Fables. Sorry, Aesop Fables. It is Fables or Fables. I have no idea. Anyways, I'm in any case I'm reading Aesop's stories, and I'm not shadowing those, but I could reread the book while I'm shadowing, and then practice that over and over again until I've memorized all the 100 uh, Aesop's stories that there are there. So that's one idea of mine that would be very useful for my literary purposes because I really enjoy literature, and to be able to say complete complete books by head is a thing that I think I can achieve. I've got a good memory to poetry, to stories, to those kind of stuff. I have somewhat poor memory for all the type of stuff. That there are a lot of things that I try to remember but I can't because I do not really care, I think. But when it comes to poetry and to stories, I think I can memorize quite easily. So my I think into get classical books with a very good audiobook and just shadowing until I've memorized all the books. My goal with that is first to have a better pronunciation and all the things related to the pronunciation that aren't exactly the pronunciation, like stress, etc. And then secondly, I want to dive deep into the culture of Great Britain and the English culture in general, although I will be trying to mostly choose English books so I can remember them. And the third and fourth thing I'm looking towards is the third is to be able to have a better syntax, to build more an intuition into what is right or wrong grammatically, to be able to construct more meaningful sentences, and to be able to build structures that are more of more beautiful, more well made, more natural. And the fourth, I want to have a better semantics and pragmatics, and I think that may help. Well, this idea isn't easy or quick to do. Many people would find extremely boring, and I can understand completely. I do not judge you if you find it extremely boring. However, I find it very interesting, and I'm planning to apply it. So that's what I've been thinking about related to how to improve my speaking skills through shadowing, and I want to apply it. Well, another thing that I've been thinking is about the watching content and the content that I've been watching, moreover, the content that I've been listening as well. I've been listening several different types of content, and my listen skills are probably what I practice the most. I have this application which is called the Headphone Track. You probably know. For me, is the best thing that I've found to organize my language learning um, routine. And in it, you basically have how to register. You can register the things that you have done, and I've realized it that like 65% or more of my time, more than that, is used to listen only. That's that's a very good thing in some aspect because I'm training my listening, but I've realized it that all the other parts of my language learn is being diminished and it's being neglected. I do not want that to happen. I want to have a good and balanced system, and moreover, I think that my listen skills are not being challenged as they should. I'm watching a lot of easy content, which is great to get the foundation done and repeatedly see what you have seen. But I want to be more specific and more intentionally and be more intentional into my language learning, because I think if I push to more specific content with the accent that I want to have, with more challenge and being more difficult, I will have probably more benefits than if I watch 4 or 5 hours of easy content every day. So my goal now is trying to change from easy content to really hard content, and I'm starting to watch old movies with the RP accent. I've started to watch the um, Jeremy Brett Sherlock Holmes series, and he has such a wonderful accent um, that I want to keep listen to, because I think if I keep listen to, I will get better by osmosis. So yeah, that's what I've got for today. I've spoken a bunch. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will keep recording talking about many things. It doesn't follow necessarily a structure. Those videos are sometimes quite random, and I really enjoy to be able to talk about anything and everything that I want. I think that perhaps I should push myself harder into these speaking practices and choose things that I not use it as much. But I think if I keep talking about language learning, I will have a lot of things to talk, and I will reflect about my own language learning while I'm doing so. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. See you guys later. Bye.